I was growing up, people would say, oh, she's pretty for a black girl. This is where colonialism started.
Racism looks like your last name's got too many vowels in it, so you're not getting this job interview. That's what racism looks like over here.
I think racial prejudice exists in this country.
Yes, it definitely is.
Not extremely, no.
I think there's racist people that are in the country.
No.
Far apart, I find it quite racist.
I don't know, depends.
I work in the plumbing and the gardening trade, and the banter we have amongst ourselves in the trade is kind of formal racist.
Yeah, I believe it is racist.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
It's not as open, like as visual as America as such, but I do believe that racism goes on every day here.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
I think the UK is racism on a low key, if you understand what I mean. Like,
yeah, I think it definitely does.
It has people who are racist in it.
I mean, I grew up in a really working class area, and yeah, there's a lot of racists around there. My dad's pretty racist, like, and it's just kind of out in the open. People tend not to notice. They think it's, you know, like a lot of them just make jokes.
Normal.
Yeah, like when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh, she's pretty for a black girl," and it's like, what?
I don't think the country's racist, but I think there's just people in it that are racist.
No, not really, to be honest.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's people that are racist that live in the country, yeah.
I think there's elements of racism in the country, but I don't think in general it's a racist country.
It's a lot different than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, same as America, there's bare institutionalized racism. I mean, this is where colonialism started, taking over the world and shit. Yeah, it's full of racism, deep down in the roots. But people just pretend not to see it.
Yeah, like it's a type of racism where, let's say you're going out on a night out with your boys, right? You definitely cannot go in a group of boys, 2 by 2, 2 by 2. Let's say you're walking into a bus, right? The bus driver, people just do this, right? The bus driver will specifically stop you and say, let me see your bus ticket, first to show you. Type of racism in the UK, let's say you're just walking, people just take this next street, walk the next street away from you, and you just think, what the hell? And you can clearly see there's someone walking past them. As soon as they see the colour of your skin, they just walk away. Racism in the UK is the type of way they'll see on the CV you're black and probably not give you the job, and the same job your friend applied for, which this has happened. I promise on my life, the same thing has happened. They gave my friend a job just because he's white.
I mean, I've always grown up with some kind of racism. I was called nigger all the time, packy all the time.
Me personally, I believe we should just get on.
I think the UK is one of the kind of, it's a multi-diverse kind of country, and I think there's still elements of it, unfortunately, but I think in general sense, maybe I'm being naive, but I don't see it very often, I don't hear it as often. I think it's become more the minority than the mainstream that have become racist.
But yeah, I would say it's racist. It's not as violent. It's like underlying issues, it's comments, it's how people are treated, but that's why some people are in denial about it actually being in society, but realistically it is here.
And there are institutions which have racist elements to it, but the broader sense of the question, I would say generally it isn't.
Racism exists in the UK. The only reason why you might think America's raw is because people are not pointing in your face calling you the M-word. Like I said before, ours is behind a sheet. Ours is, oh, by the way, you can't sit there. I'm saving the seat for my friend. He's just at the bar right now. And you're there all night and the friend never comes.
I'm glad that it's being talked about more now. I think that it starts with educating young people because we are the future. We can change a lot about what's going on in society.
I think it's kind of pushing forward in that kind of a sense. So yeah, I think the UK, not as a whole, is a racist country, but there's still elements. But I think as the years go on, I think it will get less and less and less. And education's getting better. And unfortunately, I think where maybe generations in the past were racist, I think the good thing at this moment in time is generations are learning and stuff like that, and probably being more inclusive rather than exclusive is probably more of a good quality to have.
Do you know what? I've been putting a lot of thought into this. I feel like it's really difficult when you surround yourself with people that are very like-minded. So I think with like my friends and the relationships that I've got with my friends, I feel like no. But then actually when you look at demographical patterns and things, I think definitely there is. Like I'm a teacher and I work in a lot of disadvantaged areas, so you do kind of see a correlation between disadvantage and sort of ethnicity and things like that. So
my generation, right, I'm 50, right, it's racism was hardcore than it is today.
So I've always grown up being, what's the word I'm looking for?
Discriminated against?
Discriminated, yeah, exactly. Thank you for that. It's alright. I'm here for the words. I feel like we choose to ignore it more.
Racism is not getting shot by police.
There has been a lot that's changed in the UK over the past few decades. It's changed an awful lot, even with racism through the education system. Racism in general, walking up and down the streets, from my parents first arrived here to my growing up and to the point that it is now. But there is still racism here. I think we'd be living a very kind of blinkered and sheltered kind of life if we didn't think that racism existed within the UK.
All of that, it's under the racism umbrella is large. Discrimination, prejudice, all of that. It's all part and parcel of the same thing. If you can judge another individual by their creed or colour, I categorise that as racism.
But we were just saying it's really nice to be part of sort of a generation that's beginning to speak out and speak up. So I think in that aspect, yes, but I do think there's a massive systemic issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I would say it is in a very subtle way, whereas it's maybe blinded to us and we wouldn't see it as much. But if you are, of an ethnic race, it's more, you can see it more firsthand, and we haven't seen it as clearly, I'd say. But I do think it's out there if you were to ask me that, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that it starts with the youth, and we need to look at educating young people in schools and stuff, because it's not really on our syllabuses.
It has provoked a lot of thought for us, because obviously like I am white, and I think my experience of like the UK is probably different to somebody that's black or a person of colour. Yeah, I think racism takes form in so many different ways, and
if I want to be educated on it, it's like on my back to go on social media and find out about things, when I think that it's a duty kind of to be taught about it by police, to be taught about it by adults, to hear stories.
I was brought up in Manchester, but I live down south, so I've got a mixed accent and that. London's worse. London's worse, far worse. You know what I mean? It's like everybody lives in their own ends, and they won't step out their own ends, and it's, you know what I mean? It's stupid, man. My kids are mixed. I'm mixed. You know what I mean? But we have to go through it, like, in life.
When I started to join school in the UK, I got a bit of bullying and a bit of racism, but then it was fine. Just me being from another country, some people, when I used to get into fights, they would just say, oh, okay, go back to your own country and stuff like that.
In the UK, ever since I've started living in the UK, I wouldn't say it's a racist country, but I think there are certain policies that have taken a while to get up to speed with the community that's here. So I think we do need to have more awareness and more discussion around different races, and we do need to have more policies in place that are inclusive, and I think we've come a long way.
I'm not from where, I'm from Jersey. We really, you got racism, but where I grew up at, I grew up with blacks, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Portuguese, all type of cultures. In those urban communities, we really got too much racism. We got it outside of it. But I didn't really grow up with too much racism.